Valturivkakdina. Welcome everybody. Good morning and welcome to the conferring ceremony for the graduates of the Garda College Templemore, Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, Faculty of Business, Kemmy Business School, and Faculty of Science and Engineering. We're delighted that you could join us here today. My name is Professor Ronnie Greenwood, and I am Associate Vice President for Student Engagement here in University of Limerick. And I'm here today to make some opening remarks before the formal ceremony in which the President will convene a meeting of the university to confer academic awards and give a formal welcoming address. In addition to those of you who've joined us here in person today, we also have a virtual audience, and they join us from all corners of the globe. You're also an integral part of our celebration today. In the unlikely event that we need to evacuate this hall, please make sure that you know where your nearest exits are. In addition to the visible exits, there are some more exits off stage. And if we do have to leave, the concert hall staff will help guide us to our safe exits. Please follow their instructions and be sure that you exit completely from the building, not just into the atrium. Unless it's absolutely necessary, please don't leave the hall until the ceremony is complete and completely over, and you will be invited to leave at that time. Our key priority is to ensure a smoothly running ceremony with minimal disruption. But if you absolutely have to leave during the ceremony, the concert hall staff will decide when you may return, depending on what's happening in the ceremony at that time. Please fully cooperate with our colleagues on the concert hall staff because they're all here to support us and make sure that we all have a really good time. By the way, we have a team of over 100 people who've worked really hard over the past weeks and months to prepare for today's conferring ceremonies. It's their dedication and enthusiasm that makes this day enjoyable and memorable for all of us, the graduates, families, friends, us, the academic staff, and the support staff who have walked this journey with your graduates. So let's all just give a really big round of applause, if we will, to the ceremony staff. Thank you. It's the ceremony staff and all of the volunteers that support them that really make today a wonderful day. We have a beautiful open campus, as you know, as you've traveled in today, you've seen our lovely campus and you've seen that it's very open, and that means that some non-accredited photographers might make their way around campus and they may want to take photos of the graduates. But we have an accredited university photographer located in the building across from the concert hall, and there's a framing service over there too if you'd like to avail of it. Now, oh, that's great timing, because I was about to say, if you have a mobile phone, please take a moment to make sure that it's put on silent. Thank you. Now, we really do also welcome you to take photographs with your mobile phones during the ceremony, but we'd really appreciate it if you'd stay seated while you do so. And we have a hashtag, hashtag UL graduation. So please post your photos to social media so everybody can see our wonderful day in action. So next, I want to tell you a little bit about the symbolism of the day, particularly about the academic staff and graduates' attire, and about the mace. So academic gowns date back to the 12th century and the earliest universities, when the dress of the scholar, both the student and the teacher, was that of the monk. At the Council of Oxford in 1222, the local bishop decreed that all clergy should wear a closed and flowing gown. Oxford and Cambridge adopted this practice and continued it even after clerical attire changed. The hood was originally intended to serve as a cover for the cleric's tonsured head. Later, caps were introduced. You'll notice today that some academics wear caps while others do not, and it really just depends on the customs of the university where their degree was conferred. When the formal ceremony begins, members of the governing authority will lead the procession into the hall. They will be wearing distinguished robes that are identical, black with gold trim. Members of academic council, vice presidents, associate vice presidents, deans, and directors will follow in robes of many colors and styles, symbolizing the university where they earn their final degrees. Finally, the mace bearer will lead the provost and the president into the hall. In medieval times, the mace was a weapon of war, a heavy staff or club that's made from metal. It was originally used to break armor. In 13th century France, the mace acquired a ceremonial function as a symbol of secular power. The parchments will be presented across the university mace to each graduate by the president when their name is called. The processional music, Ascensionen, was composed by the American composer Michael Merrill. Michael has said that he was inspired by our local landscape of gentle hills and lush greenery, which are represented in his composition by a repeated motif of undulating musical triads and long lines of melody. Echoes of the song Where the River Shannon Flows are sprinkled throughout the piece, and two of the processionals are written in the form of musical limericks. The composition is set in 4 sections to call each of the different groups participating in the academic procession and is the perfect backdrop to our celebration. Please remain seated throughout the whole ceremony until the academic procession, led by the mace bearer, exits the concert hall. Now, I really hope that you enjoyed today's celebration. We warmly invite you into our campus community in a spirit of acknowledgement, achievement, and celebration. So I'll leave you now. I'll join the procession, and I hope everything will commence pretty soon. Thank you so much. Milos Buikas Agoslan Goler.
UL Chancellor, Professor Bridget Laffin, representatives from the Garda College and Garda Síochána, members of Governing Authority, members of the Academic Council, parents, partners and families, invited guests, graduates of the class of 2025, colleagues. A meeting of the University is hereby convened for the purpose of conferring academic awards. Exercising the power granted to the University of Limerick by Oireachtas Éireann, I hereby confer degrees of the University on the graduates from the Faculties of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, Kemmy Business School, Science and Engineering, and the Garda College, Templemore. Graduates not present are hereby conferred in absentia. Just a short opening address. So, good morning, Deputy Mayor, elected representatives, Chancellor, graduates, your families and friends, and our esteemed university colleagues. It's my great honour to welcome you to this conferring at the University of Limerick, a moment that marks not just the culmination of your academic journey, but the beginning of a new chapter filled with purpose, promise, and potential. Today, as we gather to celebrate your achievements and see you transition in the next phase of your journey, and indeed in your lives, we also reflect on the journey and the purpose of the University of Limerick. Founded with the pioneering spirit by the people of the region in 1972, UL was born not just to educate but to innovate, to serve as a bridge between knowledge and society, between aspiration and action. From our earliest days 53 years ago, we have stood apart in the region for our commitment to excellence in teaching, research, and engagement with the world beyond our campus. The university had a tough beginning. Despite being a proud city of size, and despite a noble tradition of education in the region, Limerick lost out on the round of establishing universities in the 1840s in Ireland. Belfast, Dublin, Cork, and Galway were the chosen cities. This slight remained an emboldening reference point for the people of the region, and they finally succeeded in their quest in 1972, proving once again that those who refuse to give up, who despite all of the challenges, come back time after time, they always have the greatest competitive advantage of all. And given this history and this mandate, the university is deeply rooted in the region. Since those times, when the founding president, Professor Ed Walsh, went out to the CEOs of new companies that were setting up in a town established in Shannon in the early 1970s, asking them about what skills they required from their industries and what they required of the university. Since that time, the university has been a synthesizing anchoring point for industry and indeed for culture, social and sporting exchange in the region. We work, live and learn in a public park, some 330 acres or so, with no gates so as to be fully accessible to the public. The books do truly stand open and the gates are unbarred at the University of Limerick, as Seamus Heaney extolled in his Villanelle to mark the 350th anniversary at Harvard. Our history is one of bold ideas and transformative impact. We were the first university in Ireland to introduce cooperative education, embedding real-world experiences into academic life, creating an integrative learning environment for our students where paper concepts met with employment experiences. We have championed interdisciplinary research that addresses the grand challenges of our times, from sustainability and health to digital transformation and social inclusion. But our promise lies not only in what we have done, but in what we continue to strive for. At UL, we believe that scholarship is not an end, but a means to serve the public good. We are a university rooted in community, connected to industry, and committed to shaping a more just, informed, and compassionate society. This morning, we have the distinct honour in celebrating graduates from across the Garda College in Templemore, the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, the Faculty of Science and Engineering, and those receiving Interfaculty and Research Awards. You represent the full spectrum of human inquiry, from the pursuit of justice and public service to the exploration of culture, society, technology, and innovation. This year, more than ever, we are reminded of the power of resilience and clarity of thought and purpose in an ever-changing world. We have faced uncertainty, challenge, and change. We are emerging with renewed strength, wisdom, and of a self that is more grounded in values. This re-emergence is inevitable. The University of Limerick is a public good. The people who serve in it, and it is a privilege to work and serve in any university, are by their very nature committed to human flourishing, to knowledge exchange, to enhancing the lives of our students and each other, but also of contributing positively to our communities and our societies. Those people sit behind you on the podium today in all of their fineries and colourful plumage. Their commitment and dedication to you as a parent and to each other as a parent and as steadfast as ever. They also are outside the concert hall. They're the people, the professional service staff and the ground staff who make sure that you and your families have the best experience possible and make your day as memorable as possible. To our Garda graduates, you carry forward a proud and noble tradition of service. In a world that often feels uncertain, your commitment to justice and community is a beacon of stability. Protection and security is also a public good. It has been a real honour to have worked with your leadership and management team over the last 11 years, to build such a relationship with Garda Síochána across a range of programmes, to ensure that you received the best education which will sustain you in your careers. To our arts, humanities and social sciences graduates, you remind us that society is not just built with steel and circuits, but with critical thinking, narrative accounts, communication, ethical judgment, and empathic reasoning. To our science and engineering graduates, you are the architect of tomorrow's solutions, the innovators who will shape the future of technology, sustainability, and discovery. As you graduate today, I'm reminded of the Stoic philosopher who almost 2 years ago extolled as follows: "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." You now have the benefit of a third level of education. It is only 50 years or so since a secondary school education came to be a right of children in this country. That is a very short history. You have now shown through your perseverance, your curiosity, your talent, and your commitment what you can do. You, along with the 142,000 alumni that you joined today, are now the stewards of our mission. Carry forward the values of curiosity, integrity, and service. Let your knowledge be a force for progress, your voice a call for equity, and your actions a testament to the power of education to change lives. You are now part of a very proud community of UL graduates. You should identify strongly with that community. I would, in that regard, like to acknowledge our Chancellor, Professor Bridget Laffan, who is with us here today. Like you, she graduated from this university. She went on to have a brilliant academic career, but her sense of service, her sense of commitment, and her loyalty to this university has remained incredibly strong. She has used all of this experience, expertise, and craft, and indeed resilience, some might call it Kerry toughness, as a force of good in the university to ensure that its core academic purpose and its mission is at the centre of everything that we do. It is both humbling and a huge honour to work with her for that objective. So today, graduates, I urge you to take ownership of your journey. Be really proud of what you've achieved and what you will go on to achieve as well. Be proud and grateful too for all of those who have supported you on your journey. They have often wanted more for you than you've actually wanted for yourselves. Be bold in what comes next. You have all greatness in you, and the world is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for people of purpose. So where you can and when you can, I would urge you to step across your shadows. Congratulations, graduates. My wish for you now is that your futures are bright and healthy ones, that your impact is lasting, and that your connection with UL is lifelong. Thank you very much.
I'm pleased to call on Professor Sandra Joyce, Executive Dean, Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, to present the candidates for the conferring of undergraduate and taught postgraduate awards.
Acting President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be conferred with undergraduate and taught postgraduate awards. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
Dr. Christina Moran, Assistant Dean of Research, will present the candidates in each award category in alphabetical order of surname.
Bachelor of Arts in Applied Policing, Barrow Killian. Burke Rebecca. Brady Sinead. Byrne Annie. Callahan Caitlin. Callanan Mark. Chimawa Naima. Conroy Ashling. Curran Niall. Dempsey Andrew. Doran Luke. Doyle Neve. Durney Ian. Ference Mateus. Foley Roisin. Garrity Michelle. Hannon Adam. Hegarty Callum. Hessian Michael. Hogan Brian. Holland Owen. Lane Darren. Maguire Jessica. McAteer Shane. McDermott Aoife. McLaughlin Edward. McMahon David. Morin Aveen. Murphy Daniel. Newman Connor. Nicholas Norell. Nolan Paul. O'Callaghan, Sean. O'Connor, Shane. O'Doherty, Olivia. O'Hogan, Kate. Quinn, Gillian. Savitkas, Edvinas. Tynan, Aoife. Woolahan, Rebecca. Bachelor of Arts, O'Donovan, Daniel. Wall O'Shaughnessy, Ben. Professional Diploma in Climate Adaption and Sustainability, Bano, Sharmila. Kerry, Greg. Deegan, Laura. McEnnis, Eva. Tiangwiriya, Naruman. Professional Diploma in Communications and Digital Public Relations for Enterprise, Lee Short, Hustana. Professional Diploma in Digital Content Development, Shannon, June. Master of Science in Economics and Policy Analysis, Mahoney, Brian. Professional Diploma in Airworthiness, Curran, Ryan. Dunning, Chris. Flynn, Paul. Ranglal Harshit Singh. Professional Diploma in Data Analytics, Gopinathan Unithan Ajesh. Joyce, Carl. Pollard, Chris. Ryan, Matthew, Thomas. Professional Diploma in Health and Safety, Core, Evan. Corey, Adrian. Doran, Michelle. Haslam, Andrew, William, Ralph. James, Sar Aruna. Kelly, Robert. Leeson, Tamlin, Louise. Maber, Adam. Mashfig, Omar. Mohsen Salam Mansi. Obiajulu Everest Chinonso. O'Sullivan Paul. Stack William. Whelan James. Professional Diploma in Quality Management, Lean Systems. Coyne Caroline Murray. Devoy Phyllis. Highland Louise. Markowska Joanna. McInerney Tig. Professional Diploma in Quality Management, Six Sigma, Quinn Patricia. Professional Diploma in Regulatory Affairs in Biopharmaceuticals, Cafferkey Sean. Carol Sarah. Clancy Owen. Clerkin Eileen. Daly Quiva. Fitzgerald Kira. Joes Joman. Lenehan Kean. Reynolds Marilyn. Stack Thomas. Tamburino Denise. Wilkins Laura. Professional Diploma in Supply Chain Management, Brosnan Michael. Keane Neve. Ojak Malika. Santos de Lima Allen. Bachelor of Science in Physical Education, O'Shea Shifra. Master of Professional Practice, Kenny Geraldine. Professional Master of Education, Gannon Aoife. O'Brien Rachel.
Professor Kevin Ryan, Vice President Research and Innovation, will present the candidate for the award of Research Masters and Doctoral degrees.
Acting President, the Academic Council of the University has been satisfied that the following candidates are worthy to be awarded master's and doctoral degrees by research and thesis. Therefore, I present the candidates and request you to confer the awards on them.
The Research Master's candidate has successfully undertaken a programme of study and research involving the submission of a thesis and its examination by internal and external examiners. The candidate will now be presented with their parchment by the Acting President. Zuhurian Moftak Harol Islam Nazanin. The doctoral candidates have successfully undertaken a programme of study and research involving the submission of a thesis and its examination by internal and external examiners. The candidates will be presented with their caps by their internal supervisor. The candidates will then be presented with their parchment by the Acting President. Saikat Bomik. Saikat has successfully submitted a thesis under the supervision of Professor Harry Vandenacker. The title of Saikat's thesis is Laser Doppler Velocimetry Measurements in the Limerick Bubbly Flow Rig. Saikat will now be presented with his cap by his supervisor, Professor Harry Vandenacker. Ahlam Bunishada. Ahlam has successfully submitted a thesis under the supervision of Associate Professor Barry Wharton. The title of Ahlam's thesis is Masculine Identity in Arabic Fiction. Ahlam will now be presented with her cap by Dr. Angela Farrell. Michael Carmody. Michael has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Shane Kilcummins and Associate Professor Alan Cusack. The title of Michael's thesis is The Rule of Law, Human Rights and an Emergency. Has the Irish state struck the correct balance? Michael will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Professor Shane Kilcummins. Francis Flanagan. Francis has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Associate Professor Diran O'Kiley, Dr. Alison O'Connor and Dr. Edward James Brambley. The title of Francis's thesis is Mathematical Modelling of the Cold Rolling Process. Francis will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Associate Professor Diran O'Kiley. Stephen Lee Kwan Ho. Stephen has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Conor McCarthy, Associate Professor Owen Hinchley, and late Professor Noel O'Dowd, RIP. The title of Stephen's thesis is Real-Time Digital Twin and Machine Learning Solutions for Hole Quality and Tool Condition Monitoring in Robotic Drilling of Composite Materials. Stephen will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Professor Conor McCarthy. Ayman Hijazi. Ayman has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor J.J. Leahy and Professor Witold Kapinski. The title of Ayman's thesis is Catalytic Decomposition of Formic Acid Using Magnetic Nanoparticles, Process Engineering and Optimization. Ayman will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Professor J.J. Leahy. Ikram Kansal. Ikram has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Liam Murray and Dr. Martin Mullen. The title of Ikram's thesis is Investigating the Use of Kahoot as an Alternative to Traditional Homework Methods Used in Algerian Middle School EFL Classrooms. Ikram will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Dr. Martin Mullen. Eduardo Mikawa. Eduardo has successfully submitted a thesis under the supervision of Professor Pepijn van de Ven. The title of Eduardo's thesis is Bayesian Network Approaches in Mental Health, Supporting Clinical Decision-Making for Screening, Prevention and Treatment Recommendations. Eduardo will now be presented with his cap by his supervisor, Professor Pepijn van de Ven. Shane Mannion. Shane has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Associate Professor Pádraig McCarran and Dr. Samuel Unicorn. The title of Shane's thesis is Degree Distributions, Correlations and Information Spread on Networks. Shane will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Associate Professor Pádraig McCarran. Sandrine Uwaze Ndahiro. Sandrine has successfully submitted a thesis under the supervision of Associate Professor Yana Liatzos. The title of Sandrine's thesis is Make Live, Make Die and Let Die, Refusal to Die in the Terminal Time of the Anthropocene. Sandrine will now be presented with her cap by her supervisor, Associate Professor Liana Liatzos. Blóhín O'Shea. Blóhín has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Associate Professor Alan Cusack and Associate Professor Susan Leahy. The title of Blóhín's thesis is an examination of prison as a last resort for persons with intellectual disabilities in the Irish criminal justice system. Blóhín will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Associate Professor Susan Leahy. Alice Parks. Alice has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Associate Professor Emmett O'Reilly and Dr. Ahmed Zai. The title of Alice's thesis is Controlling Solid State and Particle Properties of Pharmaceutical Materials by Spray Drying. Alice will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Associate Professor Emmett O'Reilly. Mihai Penica. Mihai has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Martin Hayes and Professor Owen O'Connell. The title of Mihai's thesis is Interoperability in Smart Manufacturing, a framework for enhanced communication efficiency in industrial IoT ecosystems. Mihai will now be presented with his cap by his joint supervisor, Professor Owen O'Connell. Abinaya Santkaran. Abinaya has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Kevin Ryan and Associate Professor Hugh Gainey. The title of Abinaya's thesis is Nanostructured Current Collectors for High-Capacity Binder-Free Alloying Type Anodes for Alkali Metal Ion Batteries. Abinaya will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Professor Kevin Ryan. Rebecca Pearl Tumwebez. Rebecca has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Associate Professor John Walsh and Dr. John Lannon. The title of Rebecca's thesis is A Bourdieusian Explanation of Knowledge-Sharing Practices in the Agriculture Sector, the Case of Uganda. Rebecca will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Associate Professor John Walsh. finally, Claire Maria Watts. Claire has successfully submitted a thesis under the joint supervision of Professor Sandra Joyce and Associate Professor Carl Corcoran. The title of Claire's thesis is, "So How Does It Feel to Sing Home? An arts practice exploration of space, place and identity within my songwriting practice." Claire will now be presented with her cap by her joint supervisor, Professor Sandra Joyce. Now, I'm pleased to call on Professor Sandra Joyce, Executive Dean, Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, to address the graduates from the class of 2025.
A Hanseler, a Uachtarán, a Fróvast, a bháil an údarás cheannis agus na chomhairle acadúla, a íana, a réamh céimeatha, a chláán, a chóirde agus a choglacatha, is mór an pleisiúr dom na mórtha fáilte a airmh roimh go dtí an searmanas bronnta seo. Chancellor, President, Provost, members of Governing Authority and Academic Council, distinguished guests, graduands, family, friends and colleagues. It gives me great pleasure to speak to you today at this important event. Today, we have all gathered here to celebrate not just the completion of the degrees of our newest graduates, but to mark the journey of discovery, growth and learning that has brought you to this moment. You are now on the threshold of new beginnings, and I am personally confident that you are well armed for the future because of the knowledge, skills and insights you have gained through your studies here at UL. As UL staff, it has been our privilege to work with you over the past few years. Along with your families and friends, we have been so invested in you coming to this point, and we are very proud of you today. You are the storytellers, the critical thinkers, the analysts, the performers, the advocates, and the bridge builders. You have developed skills to help us to make sense of our histories, to navigate our present, and to imagine futures that are more inclusive, compassionate, and just. Irish poet Evan Boland once wrote, "As you plough your way down the page, searching for a line that is just out of sight, remember this: you are making a shape for what has been lost." Graduates, you too are making shapes for what has been lost and for what has yet to be found. Your studies have equipped you to uncover forgotten histories, to amplify voices that are sometimes silenced, and to articulate what it means to be human in an increasingly complex and often challenging world. Use your experiences at UL, the connections and networks you have created in the lecture halls, the labs, the tutorial spaces, the playing fields, and no doubt the back room of bars across Limerick, to make the world a better place. As you take leave of us today, I hope you will take with you the conviction that your voice matters. Use your words to heal, to challenge, to inspire, and when needed, to annoy people, for the right reasons, of course, and use your ideas to shape policy, to inform culture, and to advance justice. Use your creativity to vision and create a future where aspects of life like art and humanity flourish alongside progress in all the other fields that you represent here today. I'd like to offer one more thought as you step into this new chapter. Remember that the work you do is not only for yourself, it is for the generations to come. Evan Boland also said, "What we are doing here is beautiful and important, and it matters, because somewhere in the future, a girl will stand at a podium like this, and she will need to know that we were here." These words emphasize the fact that the work we do today has a lasting impact, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. It reminds us that our journeys contribute to a legacy of progress, inspiration, and possibility, and that we should recognise that what we do has meaning beyond the present. Graduates, you have the opportunity to light the way forward for others. I trust that you will have the confidence to walk boldly forward with the skills you have developed here with us at UL, and I hope that your journeys and adventures are filled with discovery and meaning. Gora Mahabwif Galer.
Thank you, Sandra. This ceremony is now concluded. Please remain in your seats until the platform party leaves the auditorium. Ushers will then direct graduates and groups to the exits. Guests will be ushered out after the graduates leave the auditorium. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.